Good afternoon. It's my favorite time of the day because it's DeProgram with Ted Rall and John Kiriakou, and I get to be Ted Rall and I get to hang out with John Kiriakou.
It's always my pleasure. In fact, people probably don't know they probably assume we're friends, and we chat over the course of the day, like all the time. And so it's always fun to hang out with Ted, even though he's in New York and I'm in Washington. I consider that to be hanging out.
Totally. And they're not that far. And we do get into we get down the Northeast corridor every now and then. Mm-hmm. Let's talk about what we're going to be talking about, plus which will be, of course, obviously the story about the aftermath of Israel's attack on Qatar. Yep. It turns out that Trump lied. You called this, John. You said that he lied. He did, in fact, know in advance.
He had to have known in advance.
So we'll get into that. Trump's got a war on statistics. He doesn't like numbers. First, he went to war with the Bureau of Labor Statistics. Now he's telling the EPA to stop doing reporting. And now he's telling companies they don't have to do their Q2 or their Q4 or their Q1 or their Q3. Only have to do 2 out of 4. No more quarterlies, semesters only. Could annual reports be far behind? We'll be talking about right-wing cancel culture as in the aftermath of the Charlie Kirk killing, and Poland wants no-fly zone over Ukraine that brings back memories. And
bad ones.
Attack on Venezuela, more accurately on international waters, killing 3 Venezuelan, presumably men, I'm guessing here. But who knows, because we never get any details. John, before we get to the show, we have an ad and we have some Robbie business. And I want to just do a shout out to my dad. He turns 97 tomorrow.
Wow, God bless him. 97.
Happy birthday to Fred Rall Jr.
Happy birthday.
So, all right, let's get into it. I'm going to pop in Robbie here. Robbie, go ahead and do the ad, and then you can remind everyone about Rumble, and then we'll get to the news.
Okay, I'm getting reports that the YouTube stream just froze. So if it did, y'all try refreshing. Let's see what happens. It's working on my end, so I don't know.
I'll take a look on my end.
But while you do that, I'll go ahead and find us an ad, and I'll go ahead and pop this up, and we will kind of go from there.
Mm-hmm.
Just 1 second here, gentlemen. This is from Pickaxe, one of my favorite companies, and I do use them. Quick pause to tell you about Pickaxe, the creator and user-first platform built for people, not algorithms. You know that big tech is up to, data mining, bot-driven feeds, black box AI, deciding who sees your work. Instead, Pickaxe hands you an algorithm-free chronological feed with native Rumble playback, auto-publishing of your live streams, free blue check verification, and full monetization control. Your voice, your rules. Best of all, the web version is live right now, and their iOS Android app is dropping next month. On Pickaxe, your Rumble videos played seamlessly right to your feed as if they're built into the platform. No embeds, no workarounds, just smooth native playback. Even better, in beta now, creators can connect their Rumble channel to Pickaxe, automatically post live streams and videos, so your subscribers or your followers never miss a moment. You can also write full articles directly on Pickaxe. Ted does that today and later right this year, so you'll be able to blast them out as email newsletters with 1 click and build up your own email list for direct audience access. Monetize on your terms through paywalls, revenue sharing, or affiliate ads that auto-insert promo codes and tracking links. And because bots shouldn't steal your spotlight, Pickaxe hands you a free blue check so everyone knows it's really you. Pickaxe is building tech that actually builds up humanity, algorithm-free, noise-free, human-first. Head to pickaxe.com, sign up, and take your platform next level. Real voices deserve a real home. And naturally, I picked the longest ad with the Southern drawl, so y'all are welcome for that. And
Robbie, YouTube feed is down. Should I add it to the StreamYard while you talk to people about Rumble?
Let me see if I can repeg it here.
Okay.
So I'm trying to get I guess go ahead and add it to StreamYard because it's working here on Rumble for me.
Okay, I was going to say you're be encouraging people to go over to Rumble, but they're only watching us on Rumble.
Yeah, that's not doing us a whole lot of good then.
maybe not a lot. Okay, why don't you guys talk about something? And
we can 100% talk about something.
Okay.
Yeah, we can talk about anything.
Yes,
we can. Hey, it's your show. That's the best part.
That is true. That is true. Well, you know what? I want to plug a show I went on the other day. Nima Al-Khurshid. He is an Iranian who is based in Venezuela. And, you know, I talk about Iran a lot on my other podcast, and I've been complaining, how come Nima hasn't had me on? Like, what's Nima up to that I can't be on his show? I was on his show the other day. Great guy, deep questions, 57,000 views so far. But one of the things that came out of that conversation is I mentioned to him that I had spoken to Trita Parsi, who's one of the leading scholars on Iran. And these Iranian thinkers, professors, analysts, all seem to be in agreement that Israel is going to attack Iran again before the 1st of December. And they're going to do it, they believe, for a couple of reasons. One, because they know they'll get away with it with Trump. And two, that they're panicked for two reasons. Number one, that they didn't get the Iranian nuclear program. They dented it a little bit, maybe scuffed it up, but they didn't destroy it. And the other reason is that that they're almost out of weapons, almost out of rockets and missiles. And so from now until December the 1st, that will give them enough time to replenish their supply, thanks to the U.S. government, and they'll be ready to fight another fight, whereas the Iranians haven't been able to replenish their supply of drones and rockets that they were using against the Israelis. Very, very dangerous situation. Nobody's talking about it in the media. I mean, you search for Iran news, you get nothing. There's nothing happening. So anyway, I'm going to put it out there as something that I'm worried about. And I'm glad that we talked about Qatar the other day, and we're going to talk about Qatar again today.
And we can talk about it now, John, because we have YouTube back up.
Oh, very good.
YouTube's back on a new stream. So unfortunately, I had to create a new stream since there was no other way to fix it.
Yeah, no, that was weird because on my end, I've actually got a notification saying that stream terminated by YouTube. So
interesting. Okay.
Wonder why.
I don't know. Maybe don't like it. Maybe don't like us plugging the show over here on Rumble. But you know what? We're going to plug on Rumble anyway because, well, frankly, Rumble pays the bills. And now that we are,
I would be more likely to think it had something to do with Israel. But you know, I'm a little paranoid that way.
You know, I'd like to talk about that too, actually, Ted. A lot of my friends, most of my friends, I'll say, are blaming Israel for Charlie Kirk's assassination. And when I object, they're like, you're not watching the right news sources. You need to see so-and-so's video. Such and such a person had it all laid out and all the different moving parts and working parts of this. Am I an idiot? Am I missing something? Or is this just the internet gone wild?
As y'all's favorite right winger, I think that what this is the problem with always listening to echo chambers and confirmation bias. If Israel is the boogeyman, then Israel has to be responsible for every bad thing that happens.
Yeah.
So I think that's what this is.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of like it. That's sort of conspiracy theories are usually often wrong, but they reflect something that is very true, which is distrust in an institution. And people really think, I mean, look, it's like this. The Israelis are nefarious and conniving and evil. And so, you know, when something bad happens, it's natural when you think that there's this malevolent force out there to think that they're behind everything that's evil and wrong in the world. But they're not. It's a big world and there's a lot of evil to go around, and they're not responsible for it all. And this has nothing to do with Israel. I mean, this was what it looks like, you know, but I mean, we still don't know this guy's politics. I don't know if it matters, but we don't really know his politics.
No. And I got to ask Robbie, first of all, let me interrupt myself and say, Adam Fighter, John, can you kindly repeat what you were warning about Iran? Yes, of course. I'll do that in a second. But I want to ask Robbie, one of the comments here that Nick Fuentes called Charlie Kirk a fake Christian, a sellout, anti-white. I heard some of that in the 2 or 3 weeks prior to the attack. What do people on the right say about that? Is that just a tempest in a teapot, or did that have legs?
It really kind of depends on who it is you listen to. So if you're a real Christian like me, and I don't think that Nick Fuentes is a Christian for several reasons. I think that what he is, I think he is a grifter. I think that he peddles rage and anger.
Right.
Personally, I think the dude is controlled opposition. So if there was an Israel angle, I think that he's actually funded by them just to try and make the right look stupid.
Yeah.
I mean, I could be wrong. I have no proof about that. But I mean, you know the fruits by what they say. So if you are Nick Fuentes and you're constantly going after the biggest anti-Israel conservatives that are out there, Tucker Carlson,
Yeah,
Candace Owens, Dave Smith, and then you try and paint yourself as a victim when they say that you're an idiot and where have you been for the last 8 years, then that says a whole lot about you as a person. And then the fact that Fuentes came out on the day after Kirk's assassination, and then he just tries to extend this olive branch. No, I
take it back.
Yeah, no. To answer your question in a convoluted way, I don't think it really matters. The Groypers, they're loud, they're obnoxious, but they don't control anything. They don't control the discourse on my end on my end of the aisle. Okay. Just saying stuff for anger is one thing, but what is your solution? Right. He never offers one, and so that for me, that kind of makes me think that he's just a complete douchebag who is just selling rage.
All right, Robbie, I'm putting you back in the background.
Do you want me to sell Rumble first?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Go ahead. Sell Rumble.
Yeah, let's go do it.
And then we'll let you go.
So for those of you who are on the new YouTube stream, one, come over to Rumble. You won't have that cutout of service just happened a little bit ago because we're still live here on Rumble. But more to the point, though, Rumble, unlike YouTube, actually pays John and Ted a living wage. So the way that y'all are able to do that, come over here to Rumble, search up for DeProgram, or Ted can drop the link. I can't do it anymore because I'm not over there. But Rumble actually pays them based on y'all watching. Plus, on Rumble, as an added benefit, you can get premium content from them that you cannot get over on YouTube because YouTube will, censor it. So if you become a paid subscriber on Rumble for $5 a month, you have access to all of the DeProgram content. Or if you want to see all of the Rumble content that's premium or not, just subscribe for $10. Just depends on what is it you want to get. And the best part about it is, if you become a channel subscriber for the $5, Rumble doesn't take a cut of that at all. All of that money goes to John. It goes to Ted. And these two fellows are fighting the good fight. It's a privilege to work with them. And frankly, if it wasn't for Rumble supporting them, they'd be able to do this show. Y'all coming true. Over. Yeah, I do appreciate y'all, and y'all put me back in the box now. I'm done below V8.
Back into your box.
So real quick, I should repeat what I said, that Nima Al-Khurshid and Trita Parsi and all the Iranian bloggers and vloggers who are out there believe that another Israeli attack is coming before the 1st of December. I mean, seriously, it's almost universal in that community. And the reason that it's almost universal is that the United States is replenishing the Israeli supply of rockets and missiles. And the Israelis want to hit Iran before Iran can replenish its own supply. And another thing, too, I was talking to Miko Peled the other day. Miko, of course, being Israeli American, but one of the loudest voices out there for Palestinian human rights. Miko said that the Israeli government's goal, of course, is to decapitate the Iranian government and just to create chaos. They're not looking for reformists or anything like that. They just want to incite chaos and societal collapse in Iran so that the Iranians will have their attention diverted. They'll be looking inward, and then Israel can go finish up this murderous policy in Gaza.
So I got a quote from this Axios piece, which is kind of a blockbuster, or it should be, but maybe it won't be. But Netanyahu, I'm quoting from the piece, informed Trump Tuesday morning of the attack that Israel planned to attack Hamas in Qatar shortly before the strike took place. Now, the White House says that wasn't true, that they were only told when the missiles were already in the air. They called right away, and by the time the call went through and the right people got on the phone, the bombs were already falling. So they claimed that they rushed to join the Qataris, but that wasn't true at all. 3 Israeli officials told Axios that Bibi called the Donald about the strike at 8 o'clock in the morning DC time. The explosion started 51 minutes later at 8:51 a.m. Quote, Trump knew about the strike before the missiles were launched. First, there was a discussion on the political level between Netanyahu and Trump, and afterwards, through military channels, Trump didn't say no, a senior Israeli official claimed. A second senior Israeli official said the U.S. was notified well in advance on a political level. If Trump had wanted to stop it, he could have. In practice, he didn't. Basically, the Israelis backed up the White House version of events. And why? Well, on our side, the official said it was decided to help them, the U.S., with that for the sake of the U.S.-Israeli relationship. The Americans are putting on a show. We updated them about the attack. What they say publicly should be taken with a grain of salt, someone else. Another Israeli said, it isn't the first time that the Trump administration made things up about their conversations with Israel due to political considerations. Then the Trump administration said these anonymous Israeli sources making false accusations against the president of the United States and his administration should smarten up.
Wow. You know, and then friends ask me, why are you always so pessimistic all the time? I mean, there it is right there. You know, Donald Trump was complaining just recently that the American people think that he can do more than what he is actually constitutionally and legally able to do, which is funny because he does most of that stuff anyway, and then just allows the other side to sue him and then has the court force him back. But the truth is, in this case, he could have done something. He should have done something. We had a question in the chat, Ted, that I think is important. Do we think that Israel would have attacked these Hamas leaders if the talks had been in Cairo or in Amman? And
that's a good question.
I would think Cairo, absolutely not.
No. I don't think Amman either.
I would say probably not in Amman, not because there's any love between the Israelis and the Jordanians, but because the United States has such a massive presence there.
Well, doesn't Jordanian intelligence and the CIA have a close relationship too?
Like this.
So
very, very, very
it would be a
close.
real diss.
Big time.
So
yeah,
I would think it would just be like, you know, the Jordanians, we don't think about them much in the US news, but they're very important to the US. I think I don't think they would have.
Yeah.
But I mean, the Israelis are capable of anything. They obviously calculated that they could get away with this, and they were right. Now, if you're the Qataris, you know you've been fucking rolled and played and insulted,
yes,
and bombed, not the least of which, and one of your citizens died for no reason, and your reputation as a safe zone to have talks is kind of seriously compromised. What do you do about it? Do you tell these? I mean, you can't really tell the Americans, get the fuck out of your base. I mean, they need the money.
Well, the Filipinos did. Remember back in the what was it? The early 90s, the late 80s, the early 90s, the Filipinos said, "Look, we want you out. Just get out." That and Subic Bay. It was Subic Bay, and I forget the name of the Air Force base now, but they were our two biggest bases in the world. And so the Filipinos had a referendum. They said, we want the Americans out. The Americans left. The economy went straight down the shitter. And then Corazon Aquino, who was the president at the time, came back and addressed Congress and said, please come back. And we're like, no, it cost us $1 billion to pull out. We're not going to go back now. And the funny thing is it put like thousands of prostitutes out of business. It really did. It collapsed the economy.
That's the slut-based economy.
Exactly.
That's hilarious.
But you know what? If I were Donald Trump, I'd be worried now that I've disrespected the Qataris, and the Kuwaitis, the Bahrainis, the Saudis, the Emiratis, the Omanis are all looking at this and saying, "Hey, we thought we were close friends with the Americans. They screwed the Qataris. They humiliated them by allowing the Israelis to bomb. We all thought we were the best friends of the Americans. Now it's kind of clear who the best friend of the Americans is, and it isn't us."
Well, I mean, so here's the thing, right? If you're Donald Trump, you're transactional. I mean, surely there's an amount of cash that can make the Qataris shut the fuck up and not care about the loss of their citizen or their dignity. Or is there?
Yeah. Hey, thank you. Thank you to our Rumble viewers. You put us right back on the Rumble main page. That's the third time.
That's
Thank
awesome.
you very much for that.
We're
Wow.
going to get some numbers. We're going to kill it today.
Wow.
Even though the feed dropped on YouTube, so at least we have Rumble rocking it.
That's awesome.
So, all right, cool. So, yeah, I mean, do you think that there's anything that the U.S. can do for the Qataris to make them calm down?
Yeah, say that, listen, first of all, Donald Trump's going to have to lie and say, no, the Israeli account, the Axios account, they're incorrect. I did not have enough. No, I'm not slut shaming anyone. But anyway.
I was.
Oh, okay.
But I was just joking. But yes, okay. It's a fair point.
That say, look, the Israelis didn't give me enough warning time so that I could warn the Qataris. But then you have to be serious and you have to make a statement guaranteeing the security and sovereignty of Qatar. Just like you have with Bahrain. It can
never happen again.
Never again. Never again. This did real damage to American foreign relations.
Yeah.
Real damage. Well, because every Arab country is saying, geez, oh man, they told the Qataris to go screw themselves. What about us? They're going to tell us the same thing?
Trump got the call 51 minutes before.
Oh,
John, what happened? When Bibi said, like, Donald, we're doing it. Why didn't Donald say the fuck you are? Why didn't he veto it? He could have.
Yeah, he could have.
Why didn't he?
I honestly, I'm applying for pardon, and I'm always very reluctant and reticent to complain about Donald Trump. But let's call a spade here. He's somehow fallen under the spell of Bibi Netanyahu, and while other presidents have held Netanyahu off for the most part, Trump has just caved. And I don't understand it. I mean, Jared Kushner's not in the White House anymore. Ivanka's not in the White House anymore. Where's this coming from? Is it from Steve Miller? Is it from evangelicals like Hegseth, Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of Defense? Or is Donald Trump really a true believer in Zionism? I don't know. Question for John on Telegram. Okay. What is the? I don't know. What is the? On Telegram.
Okay. I'll post it up.
Okay.
John, you last week you cautioned against self-incrimination for the shooter and law enforcement. Can you clear the air there and share your position on radicalized demonstrations? I don't remember. I don't understand the question, to be honest.
Thanks, Lulu. Yeah. Listen, I have no love of the shooter, the accused shooter. None whatsoever. I've actually lost sleep over the brazen, horrible, graphic way that Charlie Kirk was assassinated. Even my son called me. He's like, "Man, I wish you had never sent me that video." And I said, "I'm sorry. I've damaged myself even." But listen, the cops can be bad guys. The FBI could be especially bad guys. And the Supreme Court has said, it has ruled that law enforcement may lie to you. Okay. And they do all the time, every day. So
it's the prisoner's dilemma, right? Like, John, I remember in first grade, George L. Ernst Elementary School, I got stopped in the hall for running in the hall. They dragged me down to the principal's office. The principal said, "We know you were running in the hall. Just admit it." And I was like, if you knew I was running in the hall, you'd be punishing me already. You're asking me because you don't really know. And he's like, smart kid, get on my office.
Exactly.
I mean,
Exactly.
that's it, right? If they know, if they already know, they're not asking you any questions.
The FBI is very skilled in this, and most police departments are relatively skilled in this, but they will get you to incriminate yourself, and they'll do it very incrementally, one little detail at a time, until you've put a noose around your own neck. When the FBI was interrogating me, and I realized that they were going after me, I invoked my Fifth Amendment right against self-incrimination. I demanded to see my attorney. That's the only thing that kept me out of jail. And then when I was walking out of the conference room, Peter Strzok said to one of the two guys interrogating me, tell me he implicated himself. And one of the guys said, he didn't really. It's the only thing that saved me. It was the difference between 23 months in prison and 35 years in prison. Don't talk to cops. I had 11 lawyers in my case, 11. The Washington Post, I've said this 1,000 times, the Washington Post called them legal titans. And like a mantra, they used to tell me to say every time, I'm represented by counsel and I don't talk to cops. And just keep repeating it over and over. I'm represented by counsel and I don't talk to cops. And then when you finally say, I want to speak to my attorney right now, they have to stop questioning you. They have to. So that's to protect yourself. Ted, I don't think I understood the radicalization.
I don't either. I mean, there's been this. Well, we should talk about the censorship that's been going on. People being fired from their jobs for saying mean things.
Oh,
about Charlie
right,
Kirk.
right,
Let's get into that. I think that's what we're talking about. I mean, JD Vance. There's a whole now meme on the right that this is like he was that the Tyler Robinson is this radicalized by the radical left, George Soros, blah 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 blah. And so we need to talk about that before we do. A quick thank you to Scott Britton, $20 donation. Thank you very much. He says, we're the best. John, I've followed you for a while. You're a true patriot. Hope you get your pardon. Here. By the way, this is forwarded from a breaking news alert. Tyler Robinson apparently sent the following confession out to his Discord buddies. Hey, guys. I have some bad news for you all. It was me at UVU yesterday. I'm sorry for all of this. I'm surrendering through a sheriff friend in a few moments. Thanks for all the good times and laughs.
Wow,
Discord previously denied that Robinson mentioned this shooting at all on the app. Jessica Davidson, thank you so much for becoming a monthly supporter on Rumble.
Oh, thank you, Jessica.
And yes,
Davidson.
America's Sweetheart 7. What radical left?
Exactly.
Yeah, so basically, there is no radical left.
No.
But so we don't know anything about this shooter's politics, really. It seems like he consumed a lot of brain rot content on Discord and otherwise. But he was a furry.
Several of our
how
viewers,
fucked up is that?
That is fucked up. Several of our viewers are pointing out that Discord has denied that.
Okay. Well, we'll see. We'll follow it.
And two toes. Yes, indeed. This has nothing to do with the Charlie Kirk assassination. Just as a matter of principle, don't talk to the cops. They're evil.
No. I mean, what I like to say, I tell this to my son, especially if you're innocent, don't talk to the cops. You can't explain your way out of it. It's their job to prove that you're wrong and you don't, or guilty. You don't give them any material at all.
That's right.
Tactical Femboy. The reason I say that there's no radical left is because by a radical left, I mean an organized political party or association that would be able to pull people together. For example, the old-fashioned Communist Party or the Socialist Party. We don't have anything like that. We have tendencies. We have people like me who are on the radical left. I mean, I write books, but I can't create a sustained protest movement. I can't get 1,000 people to show up at Times Square every day for the next month. There's no one who can. I mean, that's what I mean. There's no radical left, really.
No, there's no radical left.
Well, there is no Antifa either.
No,
Antifa's
I say that all the time.
There's
There's no such thing as Antifa. I say that all the time.
There is no such thing as Antifa. There's guys who show up sometimes wearing all black who like to break things.
Yeah, that's it. Hey, one other thing too. J-Rock, how long has John been a 9/11 truther? Thank you for bringing that up. May I take a minute, Ted?
When did you stop beating your wife?
I've never been a 9/11 truther. Never, 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 ever. I do not believe that Building 7 was controlled demolition. I don't believe that any of it was controlled demolition. I believe that Al-Qaeda did 9/11, period. The plane that crashed into the Pentagon was a plane. It was not a missile. But I have a friend, Trevor Fitzgibbon, who got himself in a lot of trouble a few years ago and has been trying to rebuild his life as a public relations person. I was very, very busy one day 2 weeks ago, and Trevor texted me and said, hey, would you give a speech in Washington? And I said, oh, Trev, I'm so busy, I don't have the time to do it. He says, I'll give you $500. I said, all right. Just send me the details. So he says, be at such and such an address on such and such a date. We'll send you a check. I said, great. Then a friend of mine called me and said, are you out of your mind? I said, what? You're speaking at the 9/11 Truth Conference? I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to kill Trevor. So I call him. I was like, what are you doing? You put me in the 9/11 Truth event? And he said, oh, well, you should have done your due diligence. So for days, I slaved over what I was going to say to the group because I don't believe in much of what they stand for. And I thought, no, you know what? I'm going to go up there. I'm going to take a swipe at the Saudis and I'm going to take a swipe at the Israelis. And I'm going to say out loud, why haven't we investigated the role of the Saudis and the Israelis? The Saudis' role in supporting the hijackers and the Israelis' role in not reporting what Mossad sources were saying about threats to the United States. Because if the Israelis have infiltrated Hezbollah, they've infiltrated Hamas, they've infiltrated Iran, they infiltrated Syria. What, we're supposed to believe that they never, ever heard anything about Al-Qaeda over all those years? When we then went to the Israelis and said, please help us, Al-Qaeda is going to attack us. And they said, oh, no, we don't know anything. So that was the speech that I gave. Saudis and Israelis. But yeah, I'm not a 9/11 truther.
Italo is asking you, here we go, off to the races. Don't you think it's odd that nobody was harmed in the Pentagon on September 11th? That's not true, though.
No, it's not true. Hundreds of people were harmed and a whole bunch were killed, including a former boss of mine. I went to his funeral.
It was a fake corpse. He's still around. He's driving a taxi in Argentina next to Adolf Hitler. So let's talk about this. So basically, right before we went on the air, JD Vance filled in as the new Charlie Kirk's substitute on Charlie Kirk's podcast, and basically like really laid it on thick about how there's a vast left-wing conspiracy that somehow involves the Open Society Institute, George Soros, and the Nation magazine of all things. He's saying all these foundations need to have their tax-exempt status revoked, and that basically they need to be censored and shut down. And there was even the implication that maybe there should be sanctions, maybe prison, for people who can be allegedly tied to not liking Charlie Kirk. I mean, dozens of people have lost their jobs over just saying basically saying Charlie Kirk was an asshole on social media, and then their bosses fire them. Look, I want to be really clear. I've said this for years, and I say this about people who say mean things about me. It's like no one should be fired for activity that they participate in politically that's not on the job. If you work at a company and you're saying anti-Semitic, racist, insensitive bullshit, and they can fire you. If you're in the public eye and you do that, they can fire you. But if you go to, say, the Charlottesville Unite the Right rally, or you go to January 6th, or you find the one Antifa march that's never happened, and you show and you participate in you say things about Charlie Kirk or about Ted Rall or anyone that's mean or bad or cruel or insensitive, That's your fucking First Amendment right.
Oh my God. A guy unsubscribed yesterday from my Substack. I put out the show every day, and all he said was fucking racist as the reason. Usually it's like a billing failure or whatever. His reason was fucking racist. And I responded, what race am I supposed to have offended? And then he didn't answer. So yeah, there are going to be people out there all the time that are yelling because they don't agree with us. That doesn't mean that they should lose their jobs.
No.
Or we should lose ours.
No, and I'm tired of it. I mean, and honestly, let me just say, everybody, by the way, John, I got to say, man, the historical revisionism is insane. There's like, there's a desire to like make, there's been suggestions that Charlie Kirk's face should be added to Mount Rushmore. Someone said that Trump said that he was a saint. And it's like, he wasn't a saint. Okay. And and they're saying, and on Fox today, they said all the bullets are flying in one direction from left to right. That's all how it's always been.
Oh, that's ridiculous. I keep pointing to the Paul Pelosi attack.
Yeah.
Where
and the Minnesota attack.
And the
New Jersey court the judge attack.
Yeah, that's another one. But yes, right. But the Paul Pelosi attack, for days, Fox was saying that this was a fight between two gay lovers that got out of hand, and Pelosi's boyfriend was trying to bash him in the head with a ball-peen hammer. No, it was an attack from a right-wing extremist, a Canadian one, no less.
Broke through the door.
Exactly.
Yeah, and terrorized this poor guy.
They're both guilty. The left and the right, they're both guilty.
Brian says you can be fired for any reason and no reason in most states. But I'm just saying that shouldn't be the case. You should be protected. Your political look. What good? I mean, it's sophistry to say that, like, oh, you can say anything you want, but you have to pay the consequences. Well, then you don't have free speech, do you? I mean, free speech means that you're not going to be deprived of a livelihood and be made homeless because you said something. I mean. And like, if that's the society we want to have, then let's not even pretend to say we have free speech.
We've got so many really great questions here.
All right, let's work through it.
My God, what about school teachers who celebrated the attack? How many millions of dollars did it cost the government to transport Kirk and Air Force to? I wondered if that was illegal. I don't know.
I don't know if it's illegal. I mean, I think the vice president has a lot of latitude as to where to go and stuff. But totally, look, what about the school teachers who celebrated the attack? I would say that if they did that on the job to the kids, I'd still, I'm pretty liberal when it comes to free speech. I would say that calls for a warning. Like, I mean, a letter in your file, and if you're already on probation, maybe you should be fired. But, I don't know. Like, do you fire a teacher just because they fuck up one time? I don't really think so.
I'm one of these people who believes very, very strongly in second chances, because I feel like our society gave me a second chance. And God knows in Washington's the city of second chances, or third chances even, for crooked politicians and such. But I agree with you.
By the way, this is true. What Not a Robot says is true. Freedom of speech under our system is protection from the government, not from private companies.
Good point.
Which is useless, because most of the time when you're censored, it's by a private company. So the First Amendment should be broadened, in my opinion.
Yeah, man, this is a tough one. It really is. I mean, I would never celebrate someone's death, anybody's death.
And I didn't know. Well, I wouldn't go that far. I can think of lots of people whose deaths I would celebrate.
Yeah. I guess I celebrated Saddam Hussein's. I worked against him for so many years.
There's a certain publisher of the LA Times who I would chortle mightily if something bad were to happen to him. But, but generally speaking, but for someone like, look, here's the thing, John, I think about Charlie Kirk, right? And I like everybody, I've read, in the last week, more about what he had to say about this and that than I ever had before, right? And I, hate a lot of it especially because it's all the inflammatory shit that's up there. And he was an inflammatory guy.
Yeah.
That said, let's be clear here. Charlie Kirk never killed a Palestinian baby. He never told someone with cancer that they couldn't that their procedure that was approved by their doctor wasn't being allowed by their insurance company.
Yeah.
He never raised the rent on someone who couldn't afford it and forced them to live outside. Charlie Kirk just talked. He bloviated. He talked for a living, and like you could say, like, okay, you know, that had an influence. Hopefully, talking has an influence politically. I hope. But the point is, look. If you really want to be angry at people who are making the world a terrible place, look at the policymakers. They're the ones who are responsible, really. It's not someone like Charlie Kirk.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. You know, and another interesting thing to me is how many people our age and older had never heard of Charlie Kirk. This was very much a generational thing, too.
Yeah.
Very much a generational
I
thing.
had to go back. I think I told you this, right? I was kind of like, I remembered, you know, it was kind of like, I was like, wait, who? And then it was like, oh, I remember Turning Point USA. And I had like lost track of him and it 10 years ago. And then it was like, oh, so this is what he's been up to all this time. I mean, you know, he was on this. It is very generationally siloed. I just want to thank Soden2324.
Thank you,
for the generous $20 donation. John, question for you. Can the U.S. How come I don't get to answer this question? Can the U.S. ever fix its foreign policy or get it on the right track? Or does that require a blessing from President Bibi?
Go ahead. Give it a try. Give it a shot.
Well, first of all, I think Israel is just one of many symptoms of how fucked up our foreign policy is. I think our foreign policy is based on disrupting other countries, specifically possibly emerging regional superpowers, and that's fucked up. It's also neo-colonialist and imperialist, and it means exerting outward pressure at the expense of our own people instead of paying attention to what we need here domestically.
Yeah.
And I think we spend all of our time paranoid, thinking that we're always going to be attacked. And it's like, but it's crazy. John, it's like, I read, my ex-wife told me something interesting. It turned out to be true. So like hippopotamuses are incredibly aggressive and mean.
Yeah, they're mean.
And they'll chase you.
And they'll kill you. Yeah, they'll kill you at the drop of a hat.
But the thing is, most big animals are pretty chill because they're big and they know they can fuck you up if they need to. Right. So the hippo apparently grew from a paranoid little shrew, and it like evolved into this huge fucking beast in a relatively short time. So the theory is that mentally it has the mindset of a prey animal that's constantly being attacked. So you have this big fucking armored tank asshole that thinks that everyone's trying to get it. We're the hippo, John. That's the problem. Like we think everyone's trying to get us. I'm like, no one's invaded this fucking country since 1815. Okay, I mean, there's like, unless you count the Aleutian Islands in World War II.
Right.
I mean,
and that lasted a couple of days.
No one's coming for us. We're safe and sound. Even 9/11, terrible, terrible thing. But seriously, even the Israelis would be like, "Come on, we had terror attacks like going out of we were going out of style." I mean, it's like, all things considered, we are very, very safe. That's all. That's my
thoughts about American foreign policy. The two major parties used to agree on foreign policy. They would always say that we would leave our differences at the shore, right? And overseas, we spoke with one voice. That began to change in the 1990s. But we've gotten to the point where, yes, you're correct, that I think for the most part, it's AIPAC and Israel that control foreign policy. And if they don't like it, then we don't implement it. And I think we're not going to get back to that kind of unified foreign policy until we no longer are in the grasp of special interests. I hate to say that,
that's not going to happen.
No, it's not going to happen.
So, Carao 123, thank you so much for becoming a monthly supporter. And Jones Jameson, I know nothing about your LA Times debacle besides what's written on Wikipedia. Where should I go to learn your side of that story? If you just Google Rall.com and then just Ted Rall versus LA Times timeline, you'll find some of the stuff that I wrote at the time with a lot of links to the stories. Full disclosure, I have written a complete book about this debacle, and it's quite a humdinger. but I haven't published it yet. I'm not sure I will, because it's, it was a traumatic experience, and I kind of feel like, do I really want to spend like the next year on book tour answering fucking questions about these assholes? I mean, I know I talk about it, but like, it's like, what I worried about when I sued the LA Times was that I would be stuck reliving all this crap over and over. You know what I mean? And it's like, I'm willing to talk about it as it suits me. I don't know if I want to wallow, and I got a lot of it out of me but to tell you the truth, John, I'm saving that fucking manuscript for Gavin Newsom's campaign announcement. Then I'm dropping the bomb. Gavin,
for you.
Don't run. You get to be governor. That's all you get to be. You don't get to be president.
Ted, two things. We have an ad, and real quickly, I want to answer Ryan Jude. Do I think Israel had prior knowledge of October 7th and let it happen, or at least let it be worse than it could have been? I do believe that.
1,000,000%.
Yeah, I do believe that. And the official response to that question, official from the Israelis, is that they believed that the attack would come in the West Bank. We know that that's not true. We know because there were settlers monitoring Hamas's communications, reporting back to the Ministry of National Security that an attack was coming. And so I believe that the Israelis allowed it to happen so that they had a reason to go in and crack heads. And now there's no stopping them.
No, for sure. Look, it's of the New York Times, of all people, reported extensively about how Israel knew that October 7th was happening a year ahead of time, right? Hamas posted the training videos hilariously online on social media, because it's, I mean, you know about this better than I do, John, but isn't it like kind of, it's jihadi like tradition, and it's considered expected that you're supposed to kind of warn the future victim of your attack that you're going to attack them, right? That's like, it's a Muslim cultural thing.
Yeah.
And you don't have to say, I'm coming on this particular day, but you're kind of like giving fair notice, like, change your shit, otherwise we're coming for you.
Exactly right. Yeah.
So that was kind of like, so there were some.
And don't underestimate this Hannibal position, the directive that they have. They are now the Israelis are perfectly happy to kill as many Israelis as they need to kill if it will help them kill Palestinians.
That's true.
It's sick.
It is sick. Yeah. Al-Aqsa flood is right. I mean, but here's the thing, right? You can look it up. Again, New York Times, right? The fastest response time to any of the kibbutzim on October 7th from the IDF was 8.5 hours. John, you've been to Israel. I've been to Israel. Nothing takes 8.5 hours to get to anywhere. You can be in the farthest reaches from the Golan Heights to the Egyptian border. It wouldn't take 8 hours to drive there.
No.
So, and that's the fast one. One of the kibbutzim only got a response in 19 hours.
Yeah.
I mean, at a certain point, they're letting it happen, right? Oh my God, Sebastian 575 rocking it on the DeProgram show. Just gifted 5 subscriptions to the show.
Hey, thank you, Sebastian. We're gonna have Sebastian on the show. I want to hear the minute by minute of what Sebastian could tell us from UVU. I'm just fascinated by it.
That would be cool for sure. So yeah, exactly. It took them 8 hours to get to the fight in a country that's the size of Rhode Island. Actually, It's the size of New Jersey, but hey, it's kind of the shape of New Jersey too. Israel has less traffic than New Jersey does, though. So, okay, let's do this ad. Away we go. Still haven't tried 1775 coffee? Now's your shot. The 1775 starter kit just dropped. Only 1,000 units. You're getting the bold dark roast that hits hard, the smooth medium roast, and the Vitality mushroom coffee for clean energy and laser focus. No crash. All single origin, small batch, toxin free and mold free. Plus, you're also getting a gold spoon clip because freedom isn't scooped with plastic. A frother strong enough to stir up your coffee and your mother-in-law's opinions, and a black 1775 tumbler. $170 worth of coffee and gear. Yours for $99. This is for the ones who've been watching 1775 blow up on Rumble, wondering if it's actually worth it. Spoiler, it is. Go to 1775coffee.com/studio and grab your starter kit before they're gone. So much to talk about, John. We got to talk about Ukraine. So the Poles want a no-fly zone for Ukraine.
Absolutely, positively no. That is just a way of dragging NATO into this conflict.
Yeah, John, can you elaborate a little bit on like what the perils of a no-fly zone are?
Yeah. So the United States imposed several no-fly zones over Iraq over the years. The southern part of the country, the marshland where the Shia Muslims, where it was mostly Shia Muslim, and then in the Kurdish part of northern Iraq. And ostensibly, I mean, the reasoning was good. It was to protect the Shias and the Kurds from Saddam Hussein's incessant attacks against them. But it costs millions of dollars a day to keep all these, F-16s, F-18s, F-35s, whatever, constantly patrolling the skies. We pay for that. The American taxpayers pay for that. But then what happens if you encounter, a Russian drone? Technically, it's an act of war.
Yep.
If the Russians violate Polish airspace. But what if you encounter a Russian aircraft over Ukraine? Do you shoot it down? Because then that's an act of war, and it would risk dragging NATO into an armed conflict with Russia, which of course is a nuclear power. So no, the no-fly zone, while the intent was for the right reasons in Iraq, it got us into a heap of trouble. It took us years to get out of it. And I think it's a very bad idea. And interestingly, Ted, you notice that American political leaders aren't talking about a no-fly zone.
No, it's dangerous. I mean, ironically, this goes back to Putin's concern about Article 5 and Ukraine joining NATO. It just sets up a trick. Man, Americans love to set. It's like nobody has fucking read The Guns of August. It's like these intertangling in alliances where you set up like these dominoes that can just one tips and they all go. You end up with you're just one archduke away from disaster. I don't know. It's like nobody reads history.
That's a good point. Nobody reads history, and things feel tenuous enough right now that we could be one archduke away from a major war. Yeah.
So your little dialectical boo, one of my favorite names here, surprised at Kiriakou's anti-NATO involvement regarding Russia. Such a principled man.
I slave over this. I really do. I think that the Russians were absolutely wrong. 100% wrong to invade Ukraine. And I understand why they did it. I just say, if we're supposed to be peace activists, then we should be peace activists and we should oppose wars everywhere. The United States was certainly wrong supporting the Maidan coup or implementing the Maidan coup. And but that doesn't make it right for the Russians to be killing Ukrainian civilians. And then, I don't know, NATO, I just have a bad taste in my mouth about NATO. I mean, what are the biggest militaries in NATO aside from the United States? The Germans and the Turks, like two of my least favorite people or governments, two of my least favorite governments. And what, we're going to be relying on them? So I don't know. I just think it's a bad idea.
And let's talk about numbers. So the Trump administration, Donald Trump seems to have some sort of preternatural dislike of reporting. I wonder if it's a psychological thing because, as a business person, every time he had to file taxes, I mean, that meant he had to pay money, and he just doesn't want to. He's just like he's congenitally furtive and secretive and doesn't want anyone to know what he's up to, but he wants to know what everyone else is up to. So he's saying, look, Bureau of Labor Statistics, we're gonna jigger the unemployment numbers, the inflation numbers. He's saying that public companies shouldn't have to issue quarterly financial reports.
That's just nuts.
I think the securities markets will go crazy if that's the case.
They will.
That's what they rely upon.
Can you imagine how volatile that's going to make Wall Street?
Yeah, I mean, they could. The
Nobody's
truth is, they
reporting
probably
numbers.
would want monthly reports if they could get them.
They probably would. Real quickly, Spiros Papalazaru. Freaking hilarious. A former secretary of the Greek Secret Service once said there are two countries in the world where spying on citizens is hard. China, because no one talks, and Greece, because everyone does. That's true, but I'll tell you who's worse than the Greeks is the Palestinians. I remember being told very early in my operational training that you should always try to recruit a Palestinian because they would sell their mother for $500. And that was my experience. Every Palestinian's for sale or for rent.
I agree with Mindy Greenwood, John. I mean, look, I agree with you. I'm against war. War is fucking stupid. I've seen war firsthand more than once. But if I were Vladimir Putin, or if I was the president of Russia, President Ted Rall of Russia, I mean, what the fuck else were they supposed to do with NATO crawling up their ass?
I get it. But that doesn't mean that you can just send suicide drones into people's apartment buildings.
No, I agree with that. Well, attacks on civilians are off limits.
Not good.
Against military targets, sure.
Yeah.
The annexation of Crimea was a brilliantly executed thing, though. The little green men.
It was brilliant. And they had no insignia on their uniforms, no names, no flags, no nothing.
They didn't even talk to people.
And they refused to talk to people. That's right.
So, yeah, apparently they could tell because their license plate numbers had like Russian, the prefixes were Russian.
Ay.
So people know, like here in New York, if you see a car where the license plate starts with T and ends with C, it's an Uber or a Lyft.
Right.
So you just know that. So
here in Washington, the diplomatic license plates, they're red, white, and blue, and they all start with.
I always think they're Ohio plates because they look like Ohio plates.
They always start with a D for diplomat or a C for consul.
See, I didn't know that.
Yeah, and then there are two letters after the D or the C, and that code is what country they're from. And the code it's not supposed to have anything to do with the country. Like Canada is not going to be DCA, for example. But anyway, Russia is FC because when the codes were assigned in the 1980s, somebody at the State Department thought it would be hilarious to say fucking commies. And so they assigned FC to the Soviet Union, and
that's so unprofessional, though.
It's just awful. But that's why.
I mean, I think it's also ridiculous how we renamed, like the streets where where the Russian embassies were, after famous Soviet dissidents.
Well, Raoul Wallenberg Place.
Right.
Like, come on. Like, we have nothing better to do with our time.
It's gay. Sorry, it's just gay.
What do I have against the German government? They've been dicks to me over the years, and like investigating me for a hate crime because I called Mustafa Kemal Ataturk a genocidal maniac. It's like, okay, Germans, first of all, I don't give a shit what your opinion is. Secondly, I don't live in Germany. I live in the United States where it's perfectly legal.
What standing do they have to go after you?
And they send me an email saying, we've finished our investigation and we've concluded you did not commit a hate crime. It's like, fuck you. I didn't ask you if I committed a hate crime.
Hilarious.
Germans. Plus, the Germans, a German soldier shot my cousin Mike in the stomach. He never fully recovered from that. And the Germans, the massacres that they committed in Greece are still like just seared into the Greek national memory. And I don't care if now all the Germans pretend to be anti-Nazi. They did such horrible things to women and children in Greece that they can't ever be forgiven. And then they're like, oh no, we paid our reparations. I
remember sitting, you would like this, John. I mean, when my mom and I went on a genealogy tour of Brittany, and we found this one town where there were a lot of people from her side of the family. Every little village, every town, every city has a war monument listing everybody who died in France's various wars. Right, mort pour la France, fallen for France. And I remember, and my mom goes, "Look at all these stupid bastards, died for nothing." And I said, "What do you mean? They were fighting the Germans who were coming to, enslave them." And she goes, "Yeah." and the Germans fucking won. They run the EU, they run Europe. Like, they never should have been able to have a country at the end of World War II.
Yeah.
And, that was de Gaulle's plan, right?
Yeah.
De Gaulle
Break
wanted 28 or 24 separate zones or something like that.
Yep.
Zambia was going to get one.
Oh, Zambia.
Or I think it was Zambia. I don't even know if Zambia existed, but it was like one of those countries.
Wow.
Yeah. But I kind of have to admit, I never understood why Germany was allowed to have a country after World War II. It's like it should have just been chopped up and given to their neighbors, right? Just basically sliced and diced. Like, this one goes to Belgium, this one goes to Luxembourg, this one, goes to Czechoslovakia, whatever. Like,
I had dinner with Peter Kuznick the other night. He's a professor at American University, and he was on a panel on, I think it was a German station, and he was on this panel with a former foreign minister from Latvia, Lithuania, one of those Baltic states, and she said that the German army should take over Kaliningrad. That we know we've always wanted it. We should just take it.
I'm sure you have.
And it's like, are you out of your freaking mind? And Peter said he was so shocked that he couldn't even form words to respond to what she was saying. People have just lost their minds.
Totally. So I do have. So what was there was one other thing I was really dying to talk to you about today. What is it? Where is it? Oh, okay. So talk about provoking violence, right? So 2 douchebags in Utah got arrested for trying to put a bomb under a news van.
Yeah,
in Salt Lake City. Obviously, I don't think it's a huge stretch to imagine these are pro Charlie Kirk, Republican, right wing, whatever you want. Of course, I'm just bullshitting, just like all the people who are bullshitting about Charlie Kirk. I don't know anything. These could be like Antifa, radical left. Sure. Could be anything. But the point is, that's the world we're in now, where everyone thinks it's okay to shoot each other, blow each other up, just because we're annoying. Could you imagine if they'd fucking blown up a van with people inside? I mean, the bomb didn't go off because they were idiots. But I mean, really?
I tell the story of these idiots that tried to blow up the Route 82 bridge in Cleveland all the time. They were just suckered into doing that by the FBI. But it sounds like these morons in Utah actually tried to do it themselves and were just too stupid to pull it off.
And while we're talking, and speaking of stupid attempts at killing people, so Trump just announced right before we went on the air that he decided to take out another boat from Venezuela, killing 3 people who were allegedly drug dealers. There's still been no evidence presented whatsoever. We know from someone who was at the intelligence briefing in Congress that the government has no evidence whatsoever that the boat that they took out last week was from Venezuela, had Venezuelans aboard, that said Venezuelans were in fact members of Tren de Aragua, that they were transporting drugs. We don't know shit about them. They could be anybody. And now here we go again, 3 more, and again nobody cares.
No, nobody cares. But let me ask you, what's the American end game here? I'm not a Latin America specialist. I follow it as much as I guess the average American does, but you can't effect regime change, let's say, or overthrow the Venezuelan government, killing, a dozen fishermen or a dozen drug runners at a time. So what's the point of doing this?
It's hard for me to see. I mean, the Trump administration is always flailing, and there, I was thinking of writing sort of an Onion-y type parody piece where it's like, so Donald Trump, when faced with something that everyone was talking about in the news, decided to just chill and read up on the question and take and bring in a blue ribbon panel of academic experts to carefully consider the best way to approach it, and appealed for calm and reason. Because that's just obviously, not what happens. And so it's like, when you're a hammer, everything looks like a nail. I mean, I think this is a way of sort of fucking with, the government of Venezuela, the way that we always do. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I want to be open to the possibility that they actually think they're involved in some kind of war on drugs, which are killing Americans through fentanyl and all this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to think that, but I'm just too cynical. I don't think they really know what the fuck they're doing or care.
Yeah, I think that's probably right.
It's a drone attack again, of course, obviously.
Yeah. Yeah, because that way you don't risk your own people. You can crow about what a great operation this was and how successful it was. And
you know they don't recover the bodies. You know, it's just like you blow up the ship at sea, everything's gone, all the bodies become fish food.
Mm-hmm.
No muss, no fuss. It's like, it reminds me of what were this called?
True.
The God, it wasn't the secret war. What was the word for it in Argentina during the military?
Oh, the dirty war.
The dirty war.
The dirty
where
war.
they would take leftists, kidnap them, and then fly them out on a helicopter, drugged often, and then just kick them out the door over the ocean.
That's right. They would even have a Catholic priest on board to give them the last rites before they threw them out of the side of the helicopter.
Oh, how devout of them.
Yeah, that's something.
Yeah,
awful.
Insane. Yeah, you know, this is a good point. This is worth mentioning. Michael Viloff says, revoke the authorization to use military force that was passed after 9/11. It's open-ended. It's a blank check for presidents to completely abuse their war powers authorities.
Absolutely right.
It should have expired and been revoked ages ago.
Absolutely right. I think that's right on.
Mindy Greenwood thinks we're just trying to get Venezuela's oil, because people don't all know, right? Venezuela is the biggest oil producing country in the Western Hemisphere.
That's right. And has the largest reserves in the world.
Oh, is that true?
Yeah.
I thought that was Kazakhstan at one point.
A couple of days ago, I just read that. Mm-hmm.
Wow. That's great. Yeah, because there's this whole like proven reserves versus unproven reserves. It's kind of complicated. And then there's the quality. Not all oil is the same, right? There's different qualities of crude oil.
Right. Yes, that's absolutely true. With Libyan oil being the cleanest and the least in need of refining.
Yeah. Yeah, Brian says their oil sucks, too much sulfur. That's what I heard too.
Yeah, it's the highest sulfur of any OPEC country.
Mm-hmm. Well, John, do you consider yourself fully deprogrammed for today?
Now I'm all pissed off. Now I need to watch a couple of episodes of Adam 12 to calm myself down again.
How many seasons was that show on?
7.
Oh, yeah, that's longer than I would have thought.
It's long.
When did it originally air?
1969 it started. Uh-huh.
So I saw it when it was still on the air.
Oh yeah. Me too. I remember laying on my grandmother's lap and watching it. Their TV got 3 stations: ABC, CBS, NBC, and I used to watch that. And I remember I Dream of Jeannie came on right afterwards.
Now it's so funny because I always wonder, like, so these shows that I loved as a kid, like, which one of them were actually good, and which shows probably sucked. Right.
You know, I've gone back to rewatch Lou Grant. He became the editor of the rival newspaper to the LA Times, and it was actually a good show. It was really well done.
And Astor's a good actor too.
Yeah, he's a good actor. Was a good actor. Yeah.
Well, Wells Campbell, I think, is going to have the final comment of this episode, which is deprogramming should cause righteous anger. Oh, yeah. No, I agree with Johnny One Plate. Twilight Zone does hold up.
Oh, I've got a whole bunch of them DVR'd. I just love it.
They're fantastic.
He was a genius.
Yeah.
He really was. And he wrote every episode himself.
That's crazy.
Oh, yeah. Mr. Athenian, I'm there, man. Party in Mykonos.
Oh, great.
Absolutely.
Oh, I'll come party.
Excellent.
Guys,
thanks, everybody.
Thank you so much. Producer Robbie is ordering me to plug Rumble. So please, if you're only watching us on YouTube, please consider coming over to Rumble. We get paid about 8 times more per view and per watch hour over there. So your contribution goes a lot further over there. A lot of people who don't care for the Rumble experience will watch us comment on YouTube, and you can watch, keep both screens open at the same time. It all counts. Please like, follow, and share the show. Thank you so much for all of your generous donations. To the person who didn't get your book that I mailed you, keep in touch. If it doesn't show up in a week, let me know and I'll send you another one. And I think that's about it. Oh, Mindy, we're going to have to save that one. Did they abuse you while serving your time? John, that's a big question. And
they tried, but they consistently underestimated me.
Yes. So, yeah. And by the way, if you want to know all about John's experience, go to the Rumble, become a Rumble premium subscriber, and you can, we have 5 out of 5 episodes, John's life story, me interviewing John. John's going to start in on me tomorrow. Mm-hmm. So I'm looking forward to that. And so that's another reason to join Rumble. Anyway, thanks so much, everyone. And let me make sure I am clicking the right thing, because it's like there's little things that I never do right on this thing. Okay, good. I've got it set. Okay, good.
Bye, everybody.